What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Back to the Past. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about PT. This was what we've been leading all the way up to throughout the month of October, covering just horror games, Halloween related things. We made 9 videos on different games in the horror genre or just Halloween in general, and PT is what we were leading towards and we're finishing at. Now, here's the deal. I actually have not been able to play this game in lead up for this video, but I got some memories of when it first came out. I want to talk a little bit about the history of the game. Of course, it's being pulled from the PlayStation Store and the efforts to keep this game around, right? People are doing God's work, basically, keeping this game around the internet even to this day. So if you guys like this stuff, I want to throw this in the beginning. Of course, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Turn the bell icon on. While horror is done for now, we will be doing, future games. Of course, I got a long list, and there's always another October, right? Next year, I'm sure we'll do more of it. PT. The scariest game I've ever played in my life. I want to make that known. I've played the Amnesias. I've played the Outlast. Now, I haven't played, there's certainly indie games, some of them inspired by PT, by the way. Certainly some indie games out there that I'm sure are scarier. I'm not saying PT is the scariest game of all time. I'm saying it's my scariest game of all time. And I can tell you right now, I remember it like it was, that was 2014. We're approaching 10 years. Actually, next year it'll be 10 years, right? I remember it like it was yesterday, downloading this game and sitting up in my room. I was on the second floor of our house, and I just sat there. And I remember after you go, it's an L-shaped hallway, right? So you're going down, you turn, you walk, you go through the door, and you restart, okay? I remember over and over doing this. And then eventually, as things start to change, I kind of pieced out. I put the controller down, and I just stood there. Well, technically, I was sitting in my bed, and I just sat. I just looked at the screen, and I really contemplated a lot of things. The number one being, do I want to continue this? Because I didn't want to. The game invoked such fear in me. Kojima has said in the past that actually he said about this game that he wanted to go, I guess, more towards those themes, right? The idea that it's in a house and more, not family oriented, but just the setting, right? The setting makes it resonate a bit more. I think he originally, one of the ideas was to do it like in an abandoned ruin, like some sort of like ancient kind of like very different. And that would kind of break the, not believability, but just the resonance that the game would give. So I very much appreciate that, and I can tell you, 9 years ago, so 18-year-old me, I remember sitting there and thinking, I don't know if I connected to it, like, well, if I go down my hallway, I'm going to see, Lisa right over here, this terrifying creature. I don't know if I thought about it like that, but I did not want to play this game. And I put the controller down. I ended up actually going through it. I remember I played this at my grandmother's house. She wasn't watching, but I played it there with my cousin. He was a lot less scared of it than me. Maybe it's just because I'm a baby, but I just remember being blown away. And honestly, there's kind of 2 parts to PT, right? There's, in my opinion, what is a really genius concept, and what I honestly say is just a very, very scary, you got to be like game. I want to say game, even though obviously it's a playable teaser, and we'll get into that. But I think that's one side of it. All the intricacies, the fact that when you first pick up the flashlight, Lisa is tied to you behind you so that the shadows come into play and turning around. It's so fascinating, and it's so cool. I'm sure there's tricks like that across the gaming industry and across even other horror games, but just the idea that, like, she's connected to you. She's always connected to you, almost from the beginning of the demo, teaser, whatever you want to say. That's so cool. Also, the fact that the character model is always Norman Reedus. And obviously people kind of broke the game to find this stuff out, by the way, in terms of breaking the camera. But I find that stuff really, really fascinating. And then on the other side of things, there is the response to it. And not just the praise, not just everybody saying how much they liked it and games copying it and all that jazz, but then also what Konami did. And this will haunt Kojima and the gaming industry, I would argue, just as much as the game haunted maybe me in playing it. And this was the breakup, right? This was part of the breakup, but this was something that really drove the wedge in between Konami and Kojima, declaring that they were not going to be backing or supporting the Silent Hill thing. And not only that, but taking it such a step further. It's one step further, but is a massive step to pulling the game pulling the game. If you already had it downloaded, God bless you, because you're in a rare, minority of people, but people that obviously got rid of it, which sadly I was. I think if something like this were to happen now, I'd be a little bit more proactive. I'd maybe try to see it coming, right? Hindsight being 2020, and maybe keep it. I did delete this, and I believe it was in 2015, March or April of 2015, maybe even a little bit later, they pulled it, and you couldn't even download it from the PlayStation Store, right? This was an early example. We talk about game preservation quite a lot on this channel, considering it's a retrospective channel. This was a very early example of them ruining gaming culture, okay? Just saying that a game that it's short, it's a very short thing. You could finish it very quickly, especially if you know how to do the puzzles, right? It's not long. Did you know, fun fact, Kojima actually planned this to be a multi-week thing. He thought people would take weeks to beat this. Obviously, that's not the case. But anyway, you have a game that is short. Obviously, it's a relic. It's a relic of the gaming industry of what could have been. What could have been Hideo and Guillermo del Toro's Silent Hill. What would that have been? And you cancel that. You don't allow them to do that. But then you also rip this playable teaser from the world, from the entire world. And, I remember this as the years kind of went on, but you can look back in the history too. PlayStations that had this on it, and maybe even still to this day, I actually haven't checked in a while, they were going for insane prices, okay? I think $1,000 was roughly the high end of what they would actually sell for. So if you had PT and it was downloaded on your console, you could go out on the eBays of the world, and I think eBay actually took that stuff down because I don't think that's up to their community guidelines or whatever it is, but you could sell your PlayStation for like $1,000 just for, and I think in some sense, okay, I think it's actually worth it. I don't know if you're scalping that many people by doing it because, again, it's kind of part of gaming history that Konami didn't allow to continue. So again, we talk about game preservation and games going digital, and when you pull the plug, that game's gone, right? Very scary, very bad. Well, Konami, I'm not saying Konami started it, but this was an early, tragic and just kind of culture shock moment of Konami saying, no, not only are we going to really ruin this relationship with Hideo, we're going to not let you make this game, but we're also going to eliminate what you already did and put out. We're going to eliminate it from the world. And how could you look yourself in the mirror and actually do that, Konami? How do you sleep at night? But no, that's the second part of it, right? I think that, I don't know if PT would be as big as it is if it didn't have one of the two, right? I think it is scary. I think, and there is a story to it, by the way. I don't even really care too much because I will say this: that is unexplored territory, right? Some of that stuff is, by the way, up to interpretation, but also you're never really going to get the ending of what he was fully going for, right? You can kind of have ideas of what he was going to do, and he said some of what he was going to do, but you never know the full picture. So you do have a pretty solid, basic game there with the horror elements, but then you also have its elimination from planet Earth. And I don't know if PT becomes this what it is to the internet and to the world if you have to have both, right? And you probably have to have Hideo Kojima tied in because, let's not discount it. That's a massive thing. And now here he is, almost 10 years later, doing Death Stranding 2. And then also, I don't remember if it's a rumor or if it's been, outright confirmed at this point. Well, there is actually leaked gameplay of a horror game that Hideo's doing. It's the Xbox, cloud type game. And we're going to get it. We're going to get some sort of horror game from Hideo Kojima. Thank God. We're going to get some sort of vision from him. But it's obviously not going to be Silent Hill. And then I guess kind of ironic in the sense that, and I think this will be the case as we get closer to these Silent Hill games coming out. I mean, there are Silent Hill Ascension, actually, I believe, comes out tonight. So there is one that comes out. Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill F, these kind of things. Once we get closer to the bigger ones, I think it'll be kind of fun to think back and say, we are having a Silent Hill resurgence, it is happening, and it took way too long, and they're going in weird directions, some are brand new, you're remaking 2, you're doing all sorts of stuff, but there was this attempt, this long lost and forgotten attempt at that point, maybe we'll say 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, PT was that attempt to do it, and I don't know, just what a madman to put out and also, by the way, to call it a playable teaser is definitely a Hideo Kojima moment, right? Who says that? And because there's been arguments of well, is it really a demo? And it's well, I don't think it can be can you call it a demo? Because you don't know if that would be part of the base game. You don't, and like, there's documented stuff of the same person, I believe, that broke the camera to see Lisa and to see, you know, Norman Reedus. There's also like a map. It's not super detailed, but there is like the basic idea of a map of Silent Hill. So there is some stuff in there, and you imagine some of it probably makes its way into the game, but it's not really a demo. I mean, I would call it, like, it is it's teasing. It's teasing Silent Hill, hence you don't even know. And I think that's also what kind of makes it special too, right? That's a big, maybe third aspect of it. It's called PT. When you download it's PT, you can all remember like the wallpaper of it and all that, but you're playing it thinking, oh, this is odd, and then all of a sudden it's revealed that, no, this is a Silent Hill game. And I believe he said that it wouldn't be tied to Silent Hill, like it would have themes, but he wanted to make it what the things that scared him, what kind of horror movies, horror elements scared him. He wanted to make a game about that, and or I guess using that, and you know, it'd be in Silent Hill, but it wouldn't be a direct tie to any of the games. That does make it pretty special that you didn't even know, at least at first, what you were playing until not only did you play it, you have to beat it. You have to, you know, complete it in order to see the logo and the, you know, the title of Silent Hill and to see Norman Reedus, right? Like, you wouldn't know that if you didn't do it. Or, of course, you go online, which I did, a lot of people did. So, you know, you could, of course, figure it out that way. But man, it's a trip. This game, I will always remember this game, and I am, you know, obviously we've talked a lot about horror, but I really wouldn't call myself like that big of a horror fan just in general. Like movies, I really stay away from it largely. Games, I'll definitely try them, but I would not say I like actively search for like the deep cut indie games. Like I said, I'm sure there's indie games out there, like Allison Road. Allison Road is a game, by the way, then this is documented, like PT is a huge inspiration for, it's not a ripoff, but like if PT doesn't exist, Allison Road probably doesn't exist. When I was researching for this video, I saw that game and I thought, I remember that game. I remember watching trailers for that game and thinking this is PT if it was let to kind of like continue. If we got to keep going with it, this is what I mean, obviously not exactly, but you know, this is like, if you want more of PT, you play Allison Road. So it's nuts, like the legacy that it's kind of had on these other games. But like I've said, like I'm not out there searching for this stuff, right? This game just kind of came out at the right time. Obviously, it's short, so I was able to, even back then where I didn't really beat games, I was able to play it, love it, while at the same time, I think I love it more for like the twists and turns, the cleverness of Lisa, the cleverness of the scares. Of course, like everything kind of changing. You know, Alan Wake just came out, and it does some really cool horror elements mixed in with like the environment changing on you, like not randomly, but it happens on like a dime, right? And this game, I'm not saying like without this game you don't get Alan Wake, but this game does it too. This game does it where you turn the hallway, and like it's hard to describe, right? Like anything could happen. When you're playing it for the first time, you don't know, right? So when you turn down the hall, you walk straight and you turn right. For all you know, anything could happen when you turn that camera. And that's what got me. That's what got me to put the controller down and say, it's not that I don't want to move the left analog stick. I'll move the left analog. I don't want to move the right. I don't want to turn the camera. I don't want to see what's down that hallway, because what I saw last time down that hallway may not be the same thing this time. And just, I don't know, I think back in 2014, I didn't play that many games that were like that. I imagine Amnesia did already come out. I imagine I've already played Amnesia looking back. Outlast, though, I don't think I played Outlast, or I don't even know if it was out back in 2014. So, you know, I was still probably new, and I just remember the game scaring the living heck out of me. And I'll always remember that. I don't know how much enjoyment I got on that, but I think looking back now, you can kind of celebrate it for what it was and more, because of all the twists and turns and all the trauma, you know, I guess trauma, but whatever you want to call it, right? What happened with Konami and Kojima stemming from part Metal Gear, right? Like just it goes so deep. Much, you know, you can't have, like I said, like the funny thing is, of course this was going to happen because Hideo Kojima made it, right? Like, everything has to be more convoluted and more crazy and deeper and just more twists and turns when you have him involved. So, like, did we not expect, something like this to ruin their relationship and to have it be deleted from planet Earth? Like, would you expect anything less? Would you want anything less for a Kojima product? I certainly wouldn't. Well, you know what? No, I would like the game back. And I guess to end the video, there has been numerous, and the reason why I said in the beginning, like, I'm sorry I haven't played the game right before. I do want to play it. And maybe next year for the 10-year anniversary, I will sit down, I will play it. Maybe we'll do something special for it. But the reason I say that, while I don't have it on my PS4, there are numerous mods, or I guess in the sense recreations, right? There's been, I think, 3 or 4. There is one, like, currently, I think it was made a few years ago, that's about as close as you're going to get. I think the ending has changed a little bit in that one, and that's the one I would probably play. You can't get too specific, though, because of YouTube, right? There are ways out there, if you look hard enough, at playing a modified version of PT. And there's been attempts before. I think maybe there was an attempt on even Xbox a few years after PT came out. There's been like 3 or 4, and I think the first 2 were like shut down. And so, it's not like there's none. I think you can, if you search hard enough on, say, a computer, you could find the way. And that was maybe the way I was going to possibly do it. So, yeah, next year, 10-year anniversary, we'll do it. Maybe we'll circle back. We'll do a walkthrough video of me playing. I don't know, we'll do something. Let me know what you guys think of this legendary experience in the comments. Thank you so much for not just watching this video, but all of my horror month. It's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun. And now we go to some, other things in November. I think we got some fun videos planned over the next month. Thank you for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.